Well, that taxi shooting in Colenso KZN has again thrown sharp focus on the number of illegal firearms in circulation in the country right now. Gunfree South Africa says the increasing number of illegal firearms in the hands of communities is now quite alarming. At the same time, Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Police says it will formally consider a request by the Police Minister to have a firearms amnesty month in September. Now, the amnesty will run over a period of 6 months. For more on this story, we're joined by Sara Chitambo. She's the Communications Officer at Gunfree South Africa. Good afternoon, Sara. Thank you for coming through at such short notice. Always a pleasure having you on the SABC News Desk. Well, this taxi shooting, Sara, in Colenso, looking more like a 1930s American gangster movie, and independent crime analysts I've already interviewed saying the firepower that was used in this particular crime was tremendous. How are these weapons being accessed by criminals right now?
So criminals are accessing these weapons through loss and theft. So they can take them from the legal pool, from licensed firearm owners, from police officers as well, and they steal those during robberies or during house breakings as well. And the other way in which such high-powered weapons can come into the country is across the border, especially firearms that are used in cases such as these, which are very high-powered.
Another way that these illegal firearms are coming into circulation is fraud and corruption, Sara.
Yes.
Now, the former police minister, Bheki, if I remember last year, spoke about and admitted that more than 2,000 illegal firearms were stolen from police armories.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that, and how do we get around this? Because this problem is not going to go away unless we tackle the corruption we're seeing in our SAPS.
Yes. So poor stockpile management by SAPS is a very big problem. We see that firearms are handed into the police for destruction, but they do not get destructed. So therefore, them sitting in stockpiles in the police storage units is where police officers are then leaking them out and through fraud and corruption to the arms of gangsters, to the arms of criminals.
We've got two stories making headlines today. Luyanda, the boy who was shot by his father, who mistook him for a robber. And that's not an isolated case, Sara. We've had many such cases. Do guns cause more harm on the home front than being used for self-defense?
Absolutely. This is what we find, and that's what the stats also tell us. People think that this gun is brought into the home to actually protect the family, but they're actually end up used against them, either by the criminals or in some cases mistakenly by children when they're playing, or by an unfit owner of a firearm who turns it against his own family or her own family.
All right. I just want to go back a year ago. I think it was between March 2017 and September 2017. We had a similar gun amnesty come into play. How effective was the last round of the amnesty? And what factors do you think influence a successful amnesty rollout?
So we did it was tabled the same way that this our current police minister has tabled this. But the former Honorable Bheki, it did not pass. So we did not actually have a firearm amnesty last year.
So it did not roll out.
It did not roll out. The last rollout we had was in 2010, where we recovered
a large 8 years ago already.
Exactly. Yes. So we recovered a large number of arms, which were then destroyed in 2015. So that was the last time that our stockpile was actually destructed. So what we think would constitute a successful firearm amnesty is for it to be a blanket amnesty. We want people to be able to bring out the firearms without fear of getting convicted themselves. So we want the police to say, please take records of the firearms brought in, but if I want to do it anonymously, please allow me to. We also want the police to do where they do search and seizure as part of the amnesty. So not just waiting for people to come in, but also going to create nets, going to find these firearms based on intelligence that they can work on. So we want them to be proactive about the amnesty. And also handing in the weapons, a lot of people are hesitant to hand them in at the police station. So we would like the police to partner with civil society organizations, with non-religious organizations, and other neutral areas such as municipal centers, where people can hand them in without the fear or hesitance that they feel that it might not get destroyed if I send it in at a police station.
I just want to broaden this slightly, Sara. Now, a country's gun culture like South Africa it's very much a product of that country's history. To what extent would you say South Africa's gun culture is a product of our nation's apartheid past? And what do guns mean right now at this juncture to black and white people living in South Africa today?
But if you look at our history and if you look at the legacy of apartheid, guns were used to arm a minority which was oppressing others. And guns were also used by the oppressed to fight back and you know, their state of oppression. But in the way that we see it in our current context is a lot of people saying that they use guns for self-defense. You know, so that is, I think, the culture that we've brought on in terms of I have a farm, I have things that I want to protect, and a gun ensures that I'm able to do that.
All right, there are some who argue even if we get rid of all the guns in the country, people will find other ways to hurt themselves. So it's a societal problem. Now, the South African Gun Owners Association saying that it's more about the person than the gun, and that education and not regulation is the key here, Sarah. And it goes on to say that it claims that gun control equals crime control. Well, that is false. How do you respond to those who might argue that you're trying to create a utopia that will just simply never be?
We think that our approach is a public health approach. We think that our approach is one that encourages us to see gun control as just one of the many elements which we need to bring to bring crime under control. Of course, we need to bring crime under control. We need to increase job opportunities so that people are employed, and that will bring down, you know, the violence as well. So we see it as a very practical way that will immediately have the best impact in terms of getting results to mitigate loss of life.
Thank you, Sara Chitambo, joining us from Gunfree South Africa this afternoon. Always a pleasure having you on the desk, and we do appreciate your invaluable insights.